Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Philosopher's Stoned. I am Brian, aka Neon Mitch, and tonight's episode is going to be about John Titor, the time traveler from 2036, who popped up on the internet in the late 90s, early 2000s. If you've been on the internet, you'll know something about John Titor. You had to run into some shit. We're going to link a little bit of modern news to it. You know what I'm saying? I say we. But we're in this together. You know what I'm saying? Alright, here we go. John Titor. So if you were a time traveler, what would it take for people to believe you? Sometime in 1998, Art Bell from Coast to Coast AM received 2 faxes from an unnamed person or entity who claimed to have knowledge of the nature of time travel. The first fax contained the following information. CERN would discover time travel in the year 2034. A brick wall of some nature existed in the timeline, and no traveler could breach the year 2564. The second fax, although containing less detail than the first, promised photographic proof and scans of the operation manual of the time traveler's machine. And on November 2nd, 2000, an individual using the forum handle timetravel_0 posted at the Time Travel Institute in a thread called Time Travel Paradoxes. Also, if there's a college for time travel, I'm fucking applying today. What the fuck, Time Travel Institute? Sounds like DeVry. Anyway, he posted, "Wow, Paul is right on the money. I was just about to give up hope on anyone knowing who Tipler or Kerr was on this world line. By the way, number 2 is the correct answer, and the basics of time travel start at CERN in about a year and end in 2034 with the first time machine built by GE. Too bad we can't post pictures or I'd show it to you." That was supposedly John. Then, on January 27th, 2001, a user with the same username posted on Art Bell's Post-to-Post BBS with a new thread titled, "I am from 2036. Greetings. I am a time traveler from the year 2036. I am on my way home after getting an IBM 5100 computer system from the year 1975. My time machine is a stationary mass, temporal displacement unit manufactured by General Electric. The unit is powered by 2 top-spin dual positive singularities that produce a standard offset Tipler sinusoid. I will be happy to post pictures of the unit." And then a comment back is posted by Mike Clinch. "Hi, as you are well aware of, I am sure, people can post anything on here, whether or not it is true. What proof do you have traveled through time? Rest assured that I want to believe you, but why should I believe? Thank you for indulging me." Titor replies, "I have been communicating online with others who are interested in time travel." So John, he continues to answer questions on the thread under the name John Titor. John Titor, the time traveler, posted this final message on March 24th, 2001. Here's a few paragraphs from it. "I will be leaving this world line shortly, and this will be my final post. There are only a handful of people who will know exactly when I will be leaving, and I'm sure they will let you know when I'm going. My parting thought revolves around something JC has been harping on since day one. No, I do not have a secret agenda, but I have been paying a great deal of attention to your world line. My interaction with you was not a direct mission parameter, but it was a secondary mission protocol based on standing orders given to all temporal drivers. That secondary objective is basically to gather as much information about a world line based on a set of observable variables when we first arrive. Your world line met those conditions. What amazes me is why no one here wonders why Y2K didn't hit them at all. Bring a gas can with you when the car dies on the side of the road. Farewell, John." So John explains in his timeline that he's a military man living in Tampa, Florida, and was born in 1998 in Florida, endured a rough adolescence because in his world line, and in 2036, they've also experienced a civil war that began in 2005 due to a faulty, high-tensioned election that divides the country, much like our 2016 election. That is followed by multiple Waco-like incidents that forces everyone to a boiling point, ending them in a worldwide nuclear war starting in 2015. The United States exchanges in nuclear attacks with Russia, and this war kills nearly 3 billion people. God damn. From what I gathered, Titor's whole adventure and quest had a hate for the people of our timeline and period. Like we were the reason for his dystopian civilization to occur in the future. He's quoted as to saying maybe they killed the right 3 billion people. That's pretty rough, pretty deep cut there, John. I mean, I don't blame him for hating us. I mean, I'm sure those wars, besides the 3 billion people that died, I'm sure civilization was pretty fucked as a whole. And you would see some fucked up shit. And at 14, old Johnny joined a local shotgun militia group called the Fighting Diamondbacks. And in this time, with the posse, he witnessed rigorous violence. The time after the war is peaceful, and civilization begins to rebuild with a strong sense of family and community, making these values the anchor of society in Titor's world line. Society's lesser cared abouts are given purpose and jobs. He describes him living in a community of tree houses. What the fuck? You Peter Pan, Tarzan ass people. His bond with his family is so strong. He says he couldn't imagine living a few hundred miles away from his parents. He makes a point to take a strong conservative stance on things like abortion, going into detail about how religion is more meaningful in his world line, people pray alone, and there's no big mega centralized religions. High technology is used to communicate and travel, but life is rural. Communities depend on livestock and trading systems, so it's like Fallout. His time machine mounted in a 1967 Chevrolet to blend in with 1975, so he's got the Back to the Future shit going on. He mentions a videotape that would be given to his family at the time of his departure in 2001. That videotape would never surface. He did conduct an experiment called the Alter View experiment, where he would take letters from people in this timeline and on his way back to 1975, stop in 1998, and mail them to the alternate versions of people in the other timeline or world line. So some say this has caused a phenomenon to occur where people would remember other memories from their alternate reality self. I'm not gonna go into that. The argument that John Titor altered our timeline really isn't far off if this time traveler story is 100% factual and did take place. He had a confidant here in our time named Pam. He entrusted her with a song that was some type of code that she would use to verify his identity if he ever made it back to our world line. So if John ever comes back, we gotta wait for Pam to let us know. We're gonna get into some of John's predictions real quick. Not real quick because they're long. The Iraq War. Alright, here's a quote. None of the things I have said will be a surprise. They were set in motion 10, 20, even 30 years ago. Are you really surprised to find out that Iraq has nukes now, or is that just BS to whip everyone up into accepting the next war? That was February 5th, 2001 on Art Bell's Post to Post. John Titor arrived and departed on our world line all before 9/11, so this would be a prediction of his that we did see come to pass. In other posts, he implied a long, drawn-out war with the Middle East, and it would be a very constant thing. He said after 2004 there wouldn't be a World Olympics, but this is most likely because his civil war happened then, right? Like, so on his world line, they don't have the Olympics because the civil war happened. So there's the 2.5% change that he also claims. So his posts, his predictions that don't come true because of his time travel. There's a 2.5% difference in the world line, if that makes sense at all. I'm not sorry if it doesn't, because it barely makes sense to me. Now, in 1975, IBM released the first mass-produced portable computer, the 5100, the idea of running software from something the size of a briefcase. Titor said he belonged to a team of 7 people chosen to embark on time travel quests that would help everybody out. In their dystopian, chaotic, horrible post-nuclear wasteland, this was the answer to solving everything. They knew of a Unix timeout error that would occur in 2038, which happens to be real. The key to this was the IBM 5100. with the ability to debug and emulate code between various programming languages. This could archive and save all the technology of 2036, but in order to do this, one must then set out to 1975, where they could for sure find this special computer people in this 2020 timeline would consider ancient tech. Quote from John: "We need the system to debug various legacy computer programs in 2036. Unix has a problem in 2038. And the truth about the 5100 is, in fact, it did have a functionality that was hidden from the public. While most computers could only debug basic programming language, this 5100 had the ability to debug several languages. They hid this functionality because they were afraid of how competition could have used it against them. It would be the reverse engineering technology to combat the Unix timeout era of 2038. So whoever John is, if he isn't a time traveler, he must be the ex-head of computers at IBM or something, because he knows his shit. Supposedly that Unix timeout error that I mentioned is a real concern, so I'm going to link the Wikipedia page to it in the shits. So, next prediction. Titor also had claims of Russia and China. Quote, "Russia and China have always had a very strange relationship. Even the news I see now indicates that continued weapon deals to allies, border clashes, and overpopulation will lead to hostilities. The West will become very unstable, which gives China the confidence to expand." That was February 8, 2001. He then alluded to saying eventually Russia and the US would be at war. Who knows what's going to happen, it's a fucking big funny game now. Something else he mentions is a growing civil unrest in society. In his timeline, though, I'm sure this boiling point has something to do with their civil fucking war that happened in 2005. I would have been so mad if 2005 there was a civil war in my world line, because 2005 was a really fun time. Lastly, I want to note about the many worlds interpretation. In a quote, he relates the many worlds theory wrapping up with the current string theory, but they haven't mastered that theory either. Quote, "It is believed that all world lines end. It also is thought that parallel world lines that appear to be the same end at different times." That was February 15, 2001. This ends up being backed up by CERN. They say the universe could explode at any given time. So there's that. And here we go with the connection theories. And it wouldn't be a theory if Tesla wasn't involved, would it? Alright, so Tesla dies in 1943 in January. Before he dies, he claimed he was working on some type of death ray, and the feds used a statue in New York to seize his paperwork and research. John G. Trump wrote the report on what was found in the raid. Claims Tesla's final works were worthless, but the legend says that that is a lie, and his work was based around time travel. Tesla conducted experiments with high voltage electricity and magnetic fields in 1895. Through this, he discovered time and space could be breached, creating a doorway to other time frames. Stargate. Basically, he had the schematics for a Stargate. Exactly. John G. Trump kept the papers until his death, unless he gave them to Donald Trump, who somehow used this information to time travel. So that means Donald Trump had to be on his uncle's deathbed. "So why don't you give me the Tesla papers? Can I just have the Tesla papers?" And he takes these Tesla papers and he goes to Russia and he finds some scientists and he gets them to build him a time machine. Then he goes back in time, writes some novels about a little dude named Baron Trump. So the Baron Trump novels are two children's novels written in 1889 and 1893 by the American author and lawyer Ingersoll Lockwood, who could be Donald Trump. The travels and adventures of little Baron Trump and his wonderful dog Bulger in 1889, and its sequel, Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey in 1893. These novels recount the adventures of the little German boy Wilhelm Heinrich Sebastian von Trump, who I imagine looks like Augustus Gloop from the Chocolate Factory shit. This kid goes by Baron Trump, which I think is more of like a hierarchy thing, like Baron or some shit. You know what I'm saying? He discovers weird underground civilizations, so basically he goes to Hollow Earth and goes to Newfoundland or the New Berlin or whatever the hell. He offends the natives there, flees from his entanglements with local women, and repeats this pattern until arriving back home at Castle Trump. So, entanglements with local women. So this little boy is running around with old ladies in the underground caverns, or he's making deals like Alice in Wonderland type puzzle deals with ladies in Hollow Earth. It's bizarre, regardless of anything. The adventures begin in Russia, and Baron is guided by the master of all masters, is what they call him. An all-knowing uncle-type character who goes by the name Don. This author did another book called The Last President, or 1900 in America, involving an election in 1896, which ends in the downfall of the American Republic. So, maybe Donald Trump is just a master time traveler who goes back and writes little books about little kids running around time portals and shit and doing weird shit with ladies. What the fuck? There we have it. We went to 2036. It sucked. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe and watch the other videos. I know I'm a little all over the place lately, but that's just how this channel is gonna be. I got some good shit coming up. I think that you might like it, but maybe not. It's raining, it's pouring. The news is fucking boring.